"You're not defusing IEDs anymore, Rodriguez." That's what Tommy from the cheesesteak truck yelled when I made him replace a slightly worn propane fitting. "This is food service, not Fallujah." He was right. In Fallujah, explosives were supposed to kill you. Here, they're just supposed to cook your lunch, which makes it even stupider when they blow up. On May 3rd, my paranoid nose and excessive safety protocols prevented downtown Portland from looking like a war zone I'd already seen too many times. My name is Sergeant First Class Maria Rodriguez, and I run Maria's Tacos, the cleanest, most organized, and apparently most militaristic food truck in Portland. 12 years in Explosive Ordnance Disposal teaches you that the difference between controlled combustion and catastrophic explosion is usually measured in millimeters and maintenance schedules. Civilians think I'm crazy. I think civilians are cavalier with things that go boom. I opened the truck 3 years ago after medical retirement. Turns out losing 2 fingers to an IED makes the Army nervous about letting you handle more explosives. Fair enough. But I needed purpose, missed serving people, and discovered I could make better carne asada than I could defuse Russian ordnance. Win-win, except for the part where I treated my food truck like a mobile explosive device. Which, technically, it is. Every food truck carries 40 to 100 pounds of liquid propane. That's enough explosive potential to level a building if things go wrong. We park these rolling bombs next to each other, next to buildings, next to hundreds of people who think the biggest danger is food poisoning. Lexington Street is Portland's food truck Pod 6 trucks, serving the morning coffee and breakfast crowd before the lunch rush. We're all veterans of different kinds. Tommy Cheesesteaks did his 20 in the Navy. Chen Korean Barbecue is a former Portland firefighter. Sarah Vegan Bowles used to be a paramedic. But I'm the only one who treats propane like the explosive it actually is. My morning routine starts at 445. First, visual inspection of the entire truck exterior. Check for vandalism, damage, anything unusual. Then the propane system, every connection, every valve, every inch of line. I use leak detection fluid and an electronic sniffer. Takes 30 minutes. The other vendors think it's excessive. "Maria's doing her bomb squad thing again," they joke, watching me inspect fittings with a magnifying glass. 515. System pressure test. Turn on gas, check pressure gauges, listen for anomalies. In Afghanistan, we called it letting the device talk to you. Explosives have a language hisses, clicks, smells that tell you something's wrong before it goes wrong. 530. Equipment inspection. Every burner, every pilot light, every electronic ignition. Clean, functional, safe. My truck runs like a Swiss watch because Swiss watches don't explode when they malfunction. 545. Environmental check. Wind direction, ambient temperature, humidity. These affect how gas disperses if there's a leak. Most food truck fires happen because someone didn't account for wind pushing gas toward an ignition source. 600. Open for business with everything documented in my logbook. Every check, every reading, every anomaly. The health department loves me. The other vendors think I'm psychotic. "It's a taco truck, not a nuclear reactor," Sarah said once, watching me record propane pressure readings. "Hiroshima was just atoms until it wasn't," I replied. She stopped asking after that. The thing about propane is it's heavier than air. Leak in open space, usually dissipates. Leak in an enclosed area, pools like invisible water, waiting for a spark. Add Portland's morning fog that traps gases at ground level, and you've got a recipe for disaster that nobody thinks about because it hasn't happened yet. May 3rd started like every other day. 445 arrival, 500 inspection routine. Tommy was already there, prepping his truck without checks because 20 years in the Navy and nothing exploded. Chen showed up at 530, did a basic walkthrough. Sarah rolled in at 545, running late as usual. Sal's Pizza, The brick-and-mortar restaurant we all parked next to had been there since the 1960s. Old building, old equipment, old owner who thought maintenance was what you did after things broke. I'd smelled gas near their ventilation system before, mentioned it to Sal, got told to mind my own business. "You food truck people already taking our customers," he'd said. "Now you want to tell me how to run my kitchen? Stick to your tacos, soldier girl." Fine, not my building, not my problem. Except we were parked 20 feet from his kitchen exhaust. His problem had a blast radius that definitely included my truck. At 623, I was serving breakfast burritos to the morning construction crew when my nose caught it. Mercaptan, the chemical they add to propane so you can smell leaks. Faint but wrong. Not from my truck, I just checked. Not from the other trucks, wrong wind direction. From Sal's exhaust vent. I've smelled a lot of propane leaks. This wasn't a small one. This was the kind that makes EOD techs radio for immediate evac. I handed the burrito to my customer and walked toward Sal's vent, nose testing the air like a bomb dog. The smell got stronger, much stronger, and there was another scent underneath, the ozone smell of electrical arcing. Somewhere in that basement kitchen, propane was pooling near bad wiring. "Tommy," I called. "Shut down." "Gas leak." He looked at me from his service window. "I don't smell anything. Because you killed your nose with 20 years of ship exhaust. Shut down now." I moved to Chen's truck. "Gas leak at Sal's. Kill your flames and evacuate." "Maria, come on. You sure you're not having an episode?" Episode. That's what they called it when my PTSD made me hypervigilant. When I checked corners twice or startled at backfiring cars. But this wasn't trauma. This was training recognizing danger. "I've got 30 customers," Chen protested. "In 10 minutes you'll have 30 casualties. Move." I must have had my command voice on because he started shutting down. Sarah didn't argue. Paramedics know that tone means business. But the real problem wasn't the food trucks. It was the coffee shop next door, already packed with morning commuters, and Sal's itself, where I could hear kitchen staff prepping for lunch. I called 911 first. "Gas leak at Sal's Pizza, Lexington and 3rd. Major accumulation, electrical ignition source present. Need immediate evac and fire response." How do you know there's electrical? Because I can smell the ozone through the mercaptan. "Send trucks now." Then I ran into Sal's. The dining room was empty. They didn't open until 11. But the kitchen was full of staff, and the basement prep area would have more. The smell hit me like a wall as soon as I entered. How were they working in this? "Everyone out," I shouted. "Gas leak, evacuate now." Sal emerged from the kitchen, face red. "You, get out of my restaurant. Your gas line is leaking, basement level. You've got pounds of propane accumulated down there. One spark and this whole block goes up." "I don't smell nothing." "Because you've gone nose blind working in it. Your staff," a younger cook interrupted. "I told you I smelled gas, Sal. 2 days now." 2 days. "Everybody out," I commanded. "Leave everything. Out, now." Maybe it was my tone. Maybe it was the cook backing me up. Maybe it was the way my remaining fingers were already reaching for the fire alarm. But they moved. Sal cursing, staff confused, but they moved. I pulled the alarm on my way out, then ran to the coffee shop. "Gas leak next door, everyone out, this is not a drill." Panic, but controlled. Portland trains for earthquakes, so people know evacuation procedures. Within 3 minutes, we had the block clearing. Food truck customers, coffee shop patrons, early morning joggers, all moving back as sirens approached. The fire department arrived at 631. I met the captain, gave him the rundown in military shorthand. "Major propane accumulation, basement level, eastern building. Electrical ignition source probable. Recommend immediate utility shutdown and ventilation before entry." He looked at me skeptically until one of his guys said, "Holy shit, Captain. I'm reading 20% LEL from here." LEL, lower explosive limit. At 100%, Propane ignites from static electricity. At 20% from across the street, the basement was a bomb. They shut down power to the block, set up ventilation fans, and sent in the hazmat team. What they found made the evening news. A corroded propane line had been leaking for at least 48 hours, filling the basement prep area. The electrical arcing I smelled. A failing refrigerator compressor throwing sparks every time it cycled on. If that compressor had cycled one more time, the fire marshal told me later, unable to finish the sentence. I could finish it for him. I'd seen it in Iraq. Propane expands 270 times when it goes from liquid to gas. The explosion would have lifted Sal's 3-story building off its foundation, thrown brick and glass shrapnel for blocks, ruptured every food truck's propane tank in secondary explosions. Conservative casualty estimate, 50 dead, 200 injured. Instead, 0 casualties, 1 closed restaurant, and a bunch of pissed-off morning commuters who had to get coffee elsewhere. The aftermath was investigation and vindication. Sal had ignored multiple code violations, skipped inspections, and dismissed employee concerns. His insurance didn't want to pay because negligence isn't covered. He tried to blame me for overreacting, until the fire marshal showed him photos of the spark-throwing compressor sitting in a basement with enough propane to crater the street. The other food truck owners were different. Tommy replaced every fitting on his truck that week, started doing morning inspections. Chen bought gas detectors. Sarah began documenting her checks. They stopped calling me paranoid and started calling me for advice. "Teach us," Chen said simply. "Teach us what you know." So I did. Weekly safety meetings in my truck, how to inspect propane systems, how to recognize danger signs, how to trust your nose over your assumptions, how to be the crazy one who prevents disasters instead of the negligent one who causes them. The city noticed. Food truck safety certification became mandatory based on my 47-point checklist. Insurance companies offered discounts for Rodriguez method compliance. Other cities started calling, wanting to implement similar programs. But the best part was the morning routines. Where I once inspected alone at 445, now I had company. Tommy checking his connections with military precision. Chen testing his pressure gauges. Sarah documenting everything like her life depended on it, because it did. "Still think this is military bullshit?" I asked Tommy one morning, watching him use leak detection fluid on every fitting. "Nah," he said. "This is professional paranoia. There's a difference." "What's the difference?" "Military bullshit is doing things because someone ordered you to. Professional paranoia is doing things because you've seen what happens when you don't." He was right. Every safety check is a small act of defiance against chaos. Every inspection is a promise that today won't be the day negligence kills someone. Every protocol is a prayer that explosive things will stay controlled. I still run Maria's tacos like a bomb disposal unit. Still inspect like lives depend on it. Still document everything like I'm preparing for a court-martial. The difference is now I'm not alone. 6 food trucks on Lexington Street, all run by people who understand that paranoia isn't a disorder when the thing you're paranoid about can actually kill you. Sal's Pizza is gone. Building condemned, business bankrupt, owner facing criminal charges. In its place, a small park with a plaque. On May 3rd, the vigilance of food truck operators prevented a catastrophic explosion on the site. Safety is everyone's responsibility. Nice sentiment, but incomplete. Safety isn't everyone's responsibility, it's the responsibility of whoever knows enough to see danger coming. That morning, that was me. Tomorrow, it might be Tommy or Chen or Sarah. Or some other food truck owner who learned that military precision isn't overkill when you're working with things that can kill. We serve hundreds of customers every day. They come for tacos, cheesesteaks, Korean barbecue, vegan bowls. They don't know that every meal is served by someone who checks for death before serving life. They don't need to know. That's the point. In EOD, we had a saying: initial success or total failure. There's no partial credit in bomb disposal. Same with food trucks. Either everyone goes home safe or someone doesn't go home at all. May 3rd, everyone went home. That's mission success in any language, military or civilian. The only difference is that in civilian life, you prevent explosions instead of causing them. And honestly, preventing them is harder. Because in war, everyone knows there are bombs. In peace, everyone forgets that normal things can explode too, until someone reminds them, until someone smells the danger, until a paranoid veteran saves the day by being exactly paranoid enough. That's why I run my taco truck like a bomb disposal unit, because sometimes that's exactly what it is.